The sun rises over the rugged hills of Greece, casting long shadows across the narrow mountain passes. Dust rises from the battlefield, and the echoes of clashing swords still linger in the air. A year has passed since the legendary last stand at Thermopylae, where King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans gave their lives against the vast Persian army. Their courage inspired the Greeks, but the Persians still march, their empire seemingly unstoppable. Yet, from the ashes of that sacrifice, a new force begins to rise. 10,000 Spartan warriors, hardened by training, united by honor, and burning with the desire to avenge their fallen brothers, are preparing for war. This is more than revenge. It is a statement to the world that Spartan courage cannot be broken, that one man's heroism can ignite the fire of thousands. Across the plains, Persian banners flap in the wind, their soldiers confident in numbers, unaware that a disciplined, strategic, and relentless Spartan army is about to confront them. This is a battle of wits, courage, and vengeance, where every decision could mean victory or annihilation. In the next 25 minutes, we will follow the rise of the Spartan Avengers, their training, their strategy, and their epic confrontation with Persia. You'll see how a smaller, motivated force can turn the tide of history, avenging not just a battle, but a legacy of honor and bravery that has echoed through centuries. The fall of Thermopylae. To understand the story of Spartan vengeance, we must first revisit the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE, one of the most legendary last stands in history. King Leonidas of Sparta led a small force of 300 Spartans, joined by a few thousand Greek allies, to defend a narrow mountain pass against the overwhelming army of Xerxes I, the Persian king. The terrain of Thermopylae itself was critical. The narrow pass prevented the massive Persian army from using its numerical advantage effectively. For 3 days, the Spartans held the line with unparalleled bravery, discipline, and skill. Their phalanx formations, tight, interlocking shields with long spears, stopped wave after wave of Persian attacks. Despite their valiant effort, the Greeks were eventually betrayed. A local Greek guide revealed a hidden path to the Persians, allowing them to outflank the Spartan position. Realizing that defeat was inevitable, Leonidas sent away most of the Greek forces, remaining with his 300 Spartans and a few hundred allies to cover the retreat. The result was tragic, yet heroic. The Spartans fought to the last man, slowing the Persian advance and buying critical time for the Greek city-states to prepare defenses. Their sacrifice became a symbol of courage, honor, and the unbreakable Spartan spirit. But the story did not end there. The Persian army continued its advance through Greece, burning villages and threatening freedom. The Greek states, though inspired by Leonidas' heroism, faced a new challenge: avenging Thermopylae and stopping the Persian tide. The fall of Thermopylae planted a seed of vengeance in the hearts of the Spartans. The memory of their fallen brothers would become the driving force for the rise of 10,000 Spartans, trained, disciplined, and ready to reclaim honor on the battlefield. This battle was not only a tale of loss, it was the beginning of a story of retaliation and redemption. Greece rises for revenge. After the tragic fall of Thermopylae, the Greek city-states faced a pressing threat. The mighty Persian army, having crushed resistance at the pass, advanced with seemingly unstoppable force. Greek morale wavered, but the Spartans' heroic sacrifice had ignited a spark of unity and determination across the region. It was time for revenge and resilience. Leaders from major city-states, including Sparta, Athens, Corinth, and others, began forming alliances, understanding that only through cooperation could they halt the Persian juggernaut. This was a remarkable feat, as Greek city-states often quarreled amongst themselves. The memory of Leonidas' bravery became the symbol of unity and honor, convincing leaders to put aside rivalries for a common cause. In Sparta, the loss of their 300 warriors created a deep resolve. The idea of avenging fallen brothers was central to Spartan culture. Every household, soldier, and leader felt the duty to honor Leonidas' sacrifice. Recruitment intensified, and the call to arms resonated across the Peloponnesus. Spartan warriors, trained in the Agode system from childhood, were ready not just to fight, but to exemplify courage and discipline on the battlefield. Other Greek city-states contributed soldiers and resources. Athens, with its formidable navy, focused on controlling the seas and cutting off Persian supply lines, while Sparta concentrated on land forces. Corinth and other allies sent infantry and cavalry to bolster Spartan numbers. Together, they began assembling a force of 10,000 warriors, a combination of seasoned soldiers and motivated recruits determined to reclaim Greek honor. Strategists from each city-state studied Persian tactics, learning from past defeats. The Greeks planned not only to match the Persian army in battle, but to outsmart them using terrain, coordination, and clever maneuvers. Spartan leaders emphasized discipline, cohesion, and morale, ensuring that the army was not just a mass of soldiers, but a well-oiled fighting machine. The rise of this army was fueled by more than strategy. It was a moral and cultural mission. Every soldier carried the weight of Thermopylae. Every command reflected Spartan values, and every maneuver honored those who had given their lives. The stage was set for a calculated, decisive strike against the Persian invaders, a chance to avenge Thermopylae and reclaim Greek pride. Training and preparation. With the Greek city-states united and 10,000 soldiers gathered, the Spartans knew that victory would not come from numbers alone. Every man needed to be ready, physically, mentally, and strategically, to face the formidable Persian army. This was a campaign that required more than courage. It demanded discipline, precision, and relentless training. In Sparta, preparation was part of life. From a young age, boys were trained in the agode system, a rigorous program that focused on endurance, combat skills, and mental toughness. By adulthood, every Spartan was a highly disciplined warrior capable of enduring hunger, fatigue, and fear. These qualities were now applied on a massive scale as 10,000 Spartans assembled for battle. Training involved intense drills and simulated battles. Phalanx formations were perfected, ensuring that every soldier moved as a single unit. Shields locked together, spears extended in perfect lines, and soldiers learned to anticipate the movements of both allies and enemies. The Spartans practiced fighting in narrow passes and rough terrain, preparing for ambushes, flanking maneuvers, and rapid charges. Leaders emphasized strategy as much as strength. Officers instructed troops on battlefield coordination, signaling, and maintaining morale under pressure. Spartans were drilled to remain calm even when outnumbered, a skill that would prove critical when facing the Persians, whose army was vastly larger. Morale and motivation were equally important. Soldiers were reminded of the sacrifice of Leonidas and his 300, and the mission became personal. Each warrior was fighting not just for Sparta, but for the honor of fallen comrades, the freedom of Greece, and the legacy of their city-state. Tales of bravery and loss were retold to instill courage and unity, creating a psychological edge before the first blow was ever struck. Logistics and planning were also crucial. Supplies, weapons, and provisions were organized meticulously. Cavalry units were trained for coordinated strikes, while infantry learned to hold the line against superior numbers. Scouts and strategists studied Persian movements and adapted Greek tactics to exploit terrain and enemy weaknesses. By the end of this preparation phase, the 10,000 Spartans were more than just a large army. They were a well-trained, highly motivated, and strategically prepared force, ready to take on the Persian invaders and avenge the loss at Thermopylae. Every soldier understood the mission: to honor their fallen brothers and prove that Spartan courage could not be defeated. Choosing the battlefield. Before the Spartans could face the Persian army, they had to make a critical decision: where to confront the enemy. The choice of battlefield would determine whether their 10,000 warriors could stand against a much larger force or be crushed by sheer numbers. The Spartans looked for terrain that could neutralize the Persian numerical advantage. Narrow passes, rocky hills, and choke points became their allies. Just like at Thermopylae, the goal was to force the enemy into a constrained space, where their massive army could not deploy fully and where disciplined Greek formations could dominate. Strategists studied the region carefully. They identified natural obstacles, streams, cliffs, and uneven ground that could slow Persian cavalry and chariots. giving the Spartans an edge in defense and ambush tactics. Hills and ridges allowed for observation of enemy movements, letting Spartan commanders anticipate attacks and coordinate counterstrikes effectively. In addition to terrain, the Spartans planned ambush points and flanking maneuvers. Small, elite units were stationed in hidden positions to strike suddenly, creating confusion and panic in the Persian ranks. The goal was not just to fight, it was to outthink the enemy, using strategy and cunning to turn their strength into a weakness. Leadership was central to this planning. Spartan officers communicated detailed battle plans to all units, ensuring every soldier knew their role. Soldiers were trained to react to specific signals, to hold positions when necessary, and to exploit openings immediately when they appeared. This level of coordination gave the Spartans a force multiplier effect, allowing a smaller army to challenge a much larger one. Finally, the Spartans considered psychological factors. By choosing terrain that reminded the Persians of past defeats and forced them into vulnerable positions, they could weaken enemy confidence even before the first clash. The battlefield itself became a weapon, shaping the minds and morale of the opposing army. By the time the Persian forces arrived, the Spartans were ready, not just with weapons, but with a strategy designed to turn history in their favor. The careful selection of battlefield, combined with disciplined training and motivated troops, set the stage for the epic confrontation that would avenge Thermopylae. The battle begins, with the battlefield chosen and the Spartan army fully prepared. The moment of confrontation arrived. The Persian army, vast, confident, and expecting to crush the Greeks as they had before, marched forward, their banners fluttering in the wind, cavalry ready, and archers poised to strike. The Spartans stood firm, their shields interlocked and spears at the ready, forming a disciplined phalanx that would be the backbone of their strategy. Though outnumbered, their unity, training, and sheer determination gave them an edge that went beyond numbers. Every Spartan knew that honor, vengeance, and the memory of Thermopylae were on their side. The initial clash was intense. Persian forces attempted to break the Spartan lines with cavalry charges and massed infantry, while archers rained arrows from behind. Yet the tight Spartan formations held strong, absorbing blows and maintaining cohesion. Each soldier moved in precise coordination, a testament to months of rigorous training and preparation. The Spartans also employed clever tactical maneuvers. Small, mobile units executed flanking attacks on Persian wings, striking where the enemy was weakest. Hidden troops in rocky terrain launched sudden assaults, creating confusion and slowing the Persian advance. The Spartans were not just defending, they were controlling the pace of the battle, forcing the larger Persian army to react to their movements. Leadership played a crucial role. Spartan officers and commanders rode along the lines, signaling maneuvers, inspiring soldiers, and ensuring the phalanx remained unbroken. This visible presence of leaders on the battlefield bolstered morale, contrasting with the Persian command, where orders were often slow to reach distant units. Even as the battle intensified, the Spartans demonstrated resilience. Waves of Persian attacks came again and again, yet the disciplined Greek soldiers held firm. Every fallen comrade only strengthened their resolve. Thermopylae was no longer just a memory, it was a motivation. By the end of this phase, the Spartans had weathered the initial Persian assault, inflicted casualties, and maintained control of key terrain. The battle had begun in chaos, but Spartan discipline, courage, and tactical ingenuity ensured that the army of 10,000 was not only surviving, but gaining the upper hand, setting the stage for the turning point that would lead to vengeance. Turning the tide. As the battle progressed, it became clear that the Persians were underestimating the Spartans. The disciplined phalanx, combined with clever flanking attacks and hidden ambushes, began to wear down the larger enemy forces. Every Spartan spear thrust and every coordinated movement chipped away at Persian confidence. A pivotal moment came when small elite Spartan units struck the Persian flanks, creating chaos and breaking formations. Cavalry and infantry, previously confident in their numbers, now faced unexpected resistance from a smaller, highly skilled force. The Spartan army was no longer just holding the line, They were dictating the flow of battle. The psychological impact was enormous. Persian soldiers, seeing comrades fall in unexpected attacks and realizing their numerical advantage meant little against Spartan discipline, began to panic. Confusion spread quickly, and the Persian lines faltered. Spartan leaders seized the moment. Using coordinated signals, the phalanx advanced strategically, while cavalry units targeted weak points in the enemy's formation. The combination of precision, timing, and terrain advantage turned what could have been a drawn-out fight into a decisive engagement. If you're amazed by the Spartan warriors' courage and strategy, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're uncovering more epic moments in history where smaller forces outsmarted overwhelming odds. The tide of battle had turned. What began as a struggle to survive became a story of Spartan dominance and revenge. The Persian army, confident in its overwhelming numbers, now faced a disciplined and strategic force that could not be easily defeated. The turning point demonstrated a key lesson. In war, discipline, coordination, and courage often outweigh size and power. The Spartans had not only survived the Persian onslaught, they were now on the offensive, ready to deliver vengeance for Thermopylae. The Persian retreat. As the Spartans pressed their advantage, the Persian army began to crumble. The chaos caused by coordinated Spartan attacks, hidden ambushes, and relentless discipline had shattered their morale. Soldiers who had once marched confidently now wavered, confused and terrified. Persian commanders struggled to maintain order, but their massive formations were too unwieldy to respond effectively. Cavalry units were trapped in narrow terrain, infantry lines broke under sudden flanking assaults, and archers could not fire effectively against the tight Greek formations. What had been a mighty army now looked vulnerable and disorganized. The Spartans, sensing victory, pressed forward with relentless precision. They targeted the Persian command, striking at officers and breaking communication lines. Panic spread through the ranks, and soon the Persian army began a disorganized retreat, abandoning key positions and leaving many soldiers behind. Greek allies cheered as Persian units fled. Spartan morale soared, knowing that they were avenging the deaths of their brothers at Thermopylae. Each victory on the battlefield was more than a tactical success. It was a symbolic one, reclaiming Greek honor and demonstrating that courage and strategy could triumph over sheer numbers. The retreat of the Persian forces also had a strategic impact. Cities and territories previously threatened by Persian control were now safer, allowing the Greeks to consolidate power, secure supply lines, and prepare for future campaigns. The Spartans had not only won a battle, they had shifted the balance of power in the region. The victory sent a clear message. The Spartans had avenged Thermopylae, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, disciplined, courageous, and motivated forces could turn the tide of history. Their triumph became a legendary tale of strategy, honor, and revenge, one that would inspire generations of warriors and historians alike. Legacy of the Spartan revenge. The battle was over, but its impact would echo through history. The victory of the 10,000 Spartans was more than just a military success. It was a testament to courage, discipline, and honor, showing the world that even the mightiest army could be defeated by strategy and resolve. This triumph became a symbol of vengeance fulfilled. The memory of Leonidas and his 300 warriors, once a story of sacrifice and loss, was now transformed into a tale of justice and Greek pride. Spartan culture, which valued honor above all else, celebrated the bravery and skill of its warriors, reinforcing the idea that heroism and training could overcome overwhelming odds. The Greek city-states were also strengthened. Seeing the Spartan success inspired unity and morale across Greece, encouraging further resistance against Persian expansion. Future battles, including those at Salamis and Plataea, were influenced by the lessons learned from this victory. Lessons of strategy, terrain use, and coordinated leadership. Beyond the battlefield, the story of the Spartan revenge influenced Western military thought for centuries. Leaders and strategists studied how a smaller, motivated force could outmaneuver and defeat a larger army, emphasizing discipline, morale, and intelligent use of terrain over sheer numbers. Culturally, The event reinforced the legendary status of Sparta. It highlighted the values that defined the city-state: loyalty to comrades, courage in the face of danger, and the relentless pursuit of honor. For the Greeks, the victory was a statement that sacrifice is not in vain, and that heroes, living or fallen, can inspire generations to rise and fight. Ultimately, the Spartan revenge at Thermopylae reminds us of a timeless truth. History is shaped not only by armies and empires, but by the spirit, courage, and strategy of those willing to fight for honor and justice. The legacy of these 10,000 warriors endures, a powerful story of determination, unity, and the unbreakable Spartan spirit. The enduring spirit of Sparta. The story of the 10,000 Spartans is more than a tale of battle. It is a story of honor, strategy, and unyielding courage. They took the memory of Thermopylae, turned grief into determination, and proved that discipline, intelligence, and unity can triumph over even the greatest odds. Their victory not only avenged their fallen brothers, but also inspired generations, shaping the destiny of Greece and leaving a legacy that endures in history books, films, and legends. The Spartans showed the world that heroism is not just in numbers. It is in the heart, mind, and spirit of those who dare to fight for what is right. If you are inspired by the courage and strategy of these Spartan warriors, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Join us for more epic stories of heroism, battles, and moments in history that changed the world. The spirit of Sparta lives on, and the next legendary tale is just around the corner.